Welcome back, gamers. So today I've got a really fun deck idea, possibly, TM, that was kind of spurred on from the introduction of the new Star Trek Lower Decks. Took me a minute to remember that. Star Trek Lower Decks Challenger Series, and a challenge put forth to me by Brett from UK Versus. If you haven't checked them out, they're an awesome channel, both on YouTube and on Twitch, and Brett kind of put this idea in my head. So we're going to talk about it, and this is a Recovery Girl deck. A deck that I have never built. I've never built Recovery Girl before, mainly because she was usually on the cusp of mainstream, and I've always had this kind of aversion to mainstream decks. I always want to find something of my own. Bit of a character flaw, but who knows. So she is a 5-hand size 30 health character with good, life, and water as her symbols. She has 3 different abilities. She has a first form, which is a form is anytime you could play a card from your hand during your turn, like to play an attack or a foundation. That is called playing a form. Excuse me. And a first form is the first action you take after drawing up all the cards in your hand during your draw step. So your first thing after drawing your cards, you can gain 2 health, which is pretty good. You just gain 2 health every turn. As a response, after you take damage, you get to build 1 foundation from your discard pile. A very powerful ability because it builds ready, it builds face up, and it can be any foundation in your discard pile regardless of difficulty. You don't have to make a check for it, you just automatically add it to your stage. And as an enhance, you can destroy 2 foundations. Your attack gains throw. So any card you play can be a throw. Ridiculous ability. Now, I'm going to skip through some of the things and jump to one card in particular, and that is an Embarrassment of Dooplers. This is one of the new foundations from Star Trek Lower Decks, from the Divana 10D deck, and it is a foundation 2/5 with a 2 mid block. As a static, it also has the Doopler keyword, and that is going to be very important. As a static, you may include any number of copies of this card in your deck. And I will tell you, in Ultra, it goes up to 60. They go up to 60 that you could put in this, in this deck. And a lot of reasons why you would play Recovery Girl with this card is because she can build these from your discard pile. Anytime she takes a hit, she can build an Embarrassment of Dooplers. So you can stack up a whole bunch of these at once, and you want to do that because of the enhance. As a commit cost, this non-throw attack gains X damage. X equals the number of Dooplers in your stage. So, the idea that a lot of people had, and that Brett put forth, is play a bunch of Dooplers on 1 attack, any non-throw, and then destroy 2 foundations to give with Recovery Girl to give your attack throw. So his idea was like as many Dooplers as possible. Just get 10 Dooplers. You're getting 10 damage each commit, and then you can destroy 2 cards to give your attack throw. And this is a good idea. And in fact, that is the backup version of this idea I've built, because my main concern is a throw is usually going to be very slow. Even if you have if your rival only has to block 1 attack, they're going to commit all their resources to that, which means a throw, when completely blocked, will still deal half damage. So you would have to use your Dooplers to become at least double your rival's health. And thanks to Attack on Titan and Attack on Titan Origins of Power, there's a lot of high health characters around there, floating in that low 30s to mid 30s range. So you'd have to get up to 60, 70 damage, which means you're playing a lot of Dooplers, and you're kind of committing all into the bit. So I thought, what if we tried this strategy kind of in reverse, not leaning into the throw? And the attack I've chosen for this deck is Plow Through Enemies. This is a 2/5, 5 mid for 5 with a 2 mid block. It is a 2 check, live by the 2, die by the 2. But I've designed this as one of my little Hermit style decks where you only play 1 attack, to make it as streamlined as possible so that you don't check as bad, but also you guarantee once you have that 1 attack, you should be in position to win the game. This attack has a response. After it receives a damage bonus, it gets +2 speed. So, instead of worrying about making a throw that is twice our rival's health in damage, minimum, what if we simply made an unblockably fast attack to prevent our rival from blocking, so that they didn't use things like, this throw attack deals no damage, or Mikasa defeats the female Titan, because those have to be blocked in order to use. So we do have an attack we can make unblockably fast, but I do see that there are cards like Evade and Copy, which could reset this to printed speed. So we have the option to make it a throw as well, on top of being able to make it absurdly fast. So we're kind of covering both bases with one card strategy. So let's move on to our non-attack cards. We'll start with our assets. We have Beckett's Batleth. This is a 3/5 with a 2 low block from the Beckett Mariner Challenger Series. Enhanced Commit, your attack gets +2 damage. If it deals damage, your rival adds the top card of their deck to their card pool face down. So what this could do is it not only gives you +2 damage and then +2 speed, so it makes this a 7 mid-7, but if you're bluffing that you have another one, and you're maybe making this not lethal, maybe your rival can take it, and then they add the top card of their deck to their card pool, but it does give you more damage onto your plow through enemies. It's also a low block, which the deck was needing. And honestly, I think this is just an artifact from an earlier version of the deck, where I was focusing more on card pool clogging along with plow through enemies. And maybe I just added this on instinct because of what I wanted to do, possibly. But it is something that if you, make it a throw, say you do have 2 plow through enemies, and you commit, make this a 7 mid-7, and then maybe commit some Dooplers to make it a throw after destroying 2 foundations, you can guarantee that even if they block this one, they have to expend a bunch of resources. Then, as a throw, it deals damage, which means they add the top card of their deck to their card pool face down, and then your next one is guaranteed going to kill them. So, a little bit of a two ways there, because you could always make the attack a throw, and it will deal damage. But I think this is back when I was running a second attack. It was the Ultra from the June Kazuma deck. Tekken 8. Water. Amatsu Izanami. Your rival adds the top card of their deck to their card pool face down. So you could make this a 4 mid-10 with Beckett's Batleth and then make it a throw. It'll deal damage and add another card to their card pool. But then you're playing Plow Through Enemies on a 6 after playing Izanami on a 6. And I decided I wanted to lean less into that, because then you'd have to obviously commit some foundations that could be useful to you. So I decided to go all in on the Plow Through Enemies, rather than the full card pool stuffing. Next we have Team Dr. Ichigaki. This is a unique asset that we're playing 3 of, because we want to guarantee to see it. It's a 2/5, 2 mid block. It is a response remove after a non-keyword ability is played on a non-character card. We get to cancel it. So we can cancel Barrier Shield. We can cancel Evade and Copy, because the static, I don't know if it could cancel the static because it is not an ability that is played. So I don't think we can do that, but cards like Referee Jury, we can cancel. We can cancel any way that our rival wants to respond against us, to cancel our stuff, or to enhance to reduce our damage or our speed. It's just a good protective piece to protect our key attack at hand. On actions, we have Replicator Enthusiast from the Brad Boimler Challenger Series. It's a 2/5 with a very nice 0 mid-block. Enhance remove, choose one foundation in your stage, build one copy of that foundation from your discard pile with the same name. Your rival may build the top card of their deck. So this is obviously to choose Embarrassment of Dooplers. So once we've built one, we can Replicator Enthusiast to automatically build another. And if we take damage as Recovery Girl, we can build another. We want to get as many of these Dooplers as possible. to make sure that our attack deals as much damage as possible. So this is just a very good way to do that. It does give our rival another the option to build the top card of their deck, but they also have to worry about if we have any deadlock. So that could be dangerous. If we've got deadlock, do they really want to build more foundations to worry about us triggering our deadlock effects? And defensively, we have Referee Jury, as in it's a 2/4 with a 2 mid block. As an enhance, we can change this attack's damage to 4. If it deals damage, draw 1 card, so we can take less damage on our rival's turn and build in any foundations we need. And as a response in our card pool, we can flip this and commit 1 foundation. After our rival plays an enhance ability, they have to commit a foundation. So the fewer resources they go into our turn, the easier it will be for our plow through enemies to plow through our enemy. Onto foundations, we have Beta Shift, a 1/5 with a 3 high block. Enhance Flip, each player draws 1 card. We do have basic 5-hander problems. We will want to draw into our attack as quickly as possible. So giving our rival a card could be just the necessary evil of we need to see our cards quickly. I've chosen to play 12 Embarrassment of Dooplers because I figure if Recovery Girl can build them from the discard pile, we're not worried about checking them. And we don't need, if our plow through enemies is going to be unblockable, we don't need too many in play, because if we have 5 Embarrassment of Dooplers, and we have no other Doopler cards, because we do have Doopler Emissary. This is a 1/6, 2 high block. It's just a blank card that has the Doopler keyword, so it does count for Embarrassment of Dooplers. So say we have 5 Embarrassment of Dooplers and 1 Doopler Emissary. That means these 5 foundations can combined give us 30 damage, because it's 6 damage for each Embarrassment of Dooplers. So that's 5 times 6 is 30, 5 times 2 is 10. This is a 15 mid 30, just by committing 5 foundations. With numbers like that, and we're not worrying about getting up to, okay, our rival has 31 health, so we need to get to 62 damage so that our throw can kill. If we can make our unblockably fast attack 31 damage, then we can just do it there and be fine. So I didn't want to run, 20, 30 Dooplers. Plus, this is a card you're only going to get 4 of in one Challenger Series. Getting 12 already is going to be kind of difficult unless you can just trade for them or buy singles. So, realistically, running way too many Dooplers, unless you're playing on like Tabletop Simulator, it's just not realistic. So I wanted to make this as realistic a deck as possible. We've gone over Doopler Emissary. We have Summoned Home, a 1/5 with a 2 low block. Enhanced Flip. If you have gained health this turn, this attack is +1 speed and +1 damage. Otherwise, gain 1 health. We can gain 2 health as a first form, so this will almost always be Flip for 1 speed and 1 damage, which on a plow through enemies is 1 damage and 3 speed for a flip cost. So that's not bad. We don't have to commit for that. So that's pretty good. We have Defend the City, a 2/6 with a 1 high block. As a response, Tenacious Flip, which is playable while committed. After you commit any number of cards due to a rival effect, we get to build the top card of our deck face down. We get to build even more. And if we're sacrificing some foundations to make an attack throw, maybe we need the extra foundations. We have Desperate Plea, a 1/4 with a 2 mid block. Response Flip, after we block, we get to build the card we blocked with face up or face down. So we can block with an Emissary of Dooplers and then just build it. Or a Doopler Emissary. Block with it, build it. Pretty good. We have Create an Opening. This is one of the Jin Kazuma foundations. It's a 2/5 with a 3 mid block. Enhance Remove. If our rival has 8 or more foundations, their check to block this attack gets -3. So this is kind of leaning into the Replicator Enthusiast of letting our rival build another foundation. If they get to 8, we get to use Creating an Opening to give their check -3, making this attack even harder to block, even if they evade and copy. So they evade and copy, they have to check a 7, and if they check a 5, that's a 2. If they don't have 5 things to commit, they just take the damage. And this is not a unique card, so we could build both of these and remove them for -6 to the check to block, making our attack effectively unblockable. And again, any of these foundations we can build as Recovery Girl from our discard pile if we take damage. So that's pretty good there. Speaking of the 8 foundations or more, we have June's Flowing Strikes. This is a 1/5 with a 2 low block. Enhance our turn, destroy, or sacrifice. If your rival has 8 or more foundations, they add the top card of their deck to their card pool face down. So, very powerful here. Again, there are ways to block plow through enemies or to make it easier to block. So instead of just doubling our rival's health as damage and making it a throw and hoping they can't block with something like Mikasa defeats the female Titan in their stage, we're trying to make it as hard to block as possible. So, stuffing cards in their card pool, hacking their check, increasing our speed. This is all ways that we can try to guarantee that we don't have to lean so far into the gimmick that we're giving up our offense or our defense otherwise. It's more of make it as efficient as possible so that we don't have to lean so hard. We have Creative Counter, a 1/5 with a 2 low block. Response flip. After we block with a foundation that has a keyword, we get to build it. Doopler Emissary and Embarrassment of Dooplers have the Doopler keyword. If we block with them, we get to build it. If we have any unique foundations, we can build them. I don't think we have any unique foundations. Fourth Wielder Danger Sense. It's a 1/5 with a 2 mid block. Ally and Vestige, those are keywords. If we block with it, we get to build it. And as a response, we can commit 1 foundation. Before we make the check to play this card as a block, we change that attack zone to mid. So we can completely block an attack if need be, and then build this card, which has an enhance, flip, this attack gets -2 speed. So to be able to build this after blocking with it to guarantee no damage, and then flip to make something easier to block, maybe to half block so that we can take some damage, and then build in whatever foundation we need, is a really good solid strategy there. We have Moth Monster, a 2/6 with a 2 high block. Enhanced commit, this attack gets -2 speed, but if we've taken damage from a rival attack this turn, it gets -3 speed instead. So again, making things easier to block, especially since we have a lot of mid blocks, so we can half block things so that we can build whatever pieces we need for our strategy in from the discard pile. We have Breaking the Cuffs, a 2/5 with a 2 high block. Enhance Destroy, discard 1 card, so that's your whole cost. You have to sacrifice this foundation and discard a card from your hand. Your attack gets +3 speed and +3 damage. So it turns Plow Through enemies into an 8 mid-8, which then receives a speed bonus as a 10 mid-8 before we've even used any of our Embarrassment of Dooplers. That's already kind of terrifying to look at. We have Keiko's Aid, because we don't want to die immediately. It's a 2/5 with a 3 high block. Response flip, after we block an attack, our rival's next attack gets +2 difficulty. So if we half block an attack and then take some damage, we can build one of these in, because it's still... No, because that's during the damage step, not during the block step. So we can't build this in and then respond in the same attack if we take damage, but if we partial block, build something we need in, we can also Keiko's Aid to make sure that we're not taking too much damage during our rival's turn. Speaking of taking less damage, Toughest Punk in Junior High, a 2/5 with a 3 mid block. Response flip, before you take damage from an attack, reduce the damage that you would take by 3. So, very powerful piece for Recovery Girl when we want to take as little damage as possible, but still take some chips so that we can build in the foundations we need for our strategy. We have Always Cool. This is a 2/5 with a 2 low block. If this card is in your card pool, it cannot leave the card pool during this combat phase. As an enhance, we can add it to our card pool to build the top 2 cards of our deck, so trading 1 foundation for 2. Or as a response, we can destroy this card. After an attack is played, its damage cannot be modified. So we can pop this if our rival has like a 4 damage attack that they're then going to want to boost up. We could then pop this, take 4 damage, If we don't need any more Dooplers, we could build this back in. We can constantly force our rival to only deal printed damage and then maybe gain some health along the way so that we can guarantee have the time to set up this plow through enemies strategy. We have Nice Try. This is a 2/5, 3 low block, the taunt keyword. Always Cool also has ranged and taunt, so we can build Nice Try and Always Cool in with Creative Counter. Enhanced Commit. This attack gets -2 speed. That's really good. And Response, after your rival's combat phase begins, ready this foundation, playable while committed. So we can commit it to pass checks on our turn, and then it readies up during our rival's turn so that we can commit it for -2 speed. Very solid foundation here. And lastly, Evade and Copy. A 2/5 with a 2 mid-block and the taunt keyword. As a static, when we attempt to block with this card, we get to return our attacks to its printed speed and zone. So if they're doing zone mix-up, it goes back to the printed zone, and it returns to its printed speed, so it's just block modifier plus printed speed plus progressive difficulty. Makes it really easy to block things. And then there's a Monoma Enhance. We are not Monoma, so we don't need to worry about that. And as you can see, if you've been following along, we are very mid-block heavy. Mainly because we are a deck that wants to partial block. We can gain 2 health every turn to offset some of that. We have some damage reduction, but we want to take some of that chip as we can to then build as many Dooplers as possible, maybe that we've checked or that we played from our hand, so that once we draw 1 plow through enemies, unless our rival has something like an Always Cool, it's game over. That is the game. But Always Cool can be canceled by Dr. Ichigaki. So that's why we want our Dr. Ichigakis in play before we play our plow through enemies. So we can cancel things like Always Cool or Coordinated Attack, things like that, so that we can protect our attack, boost it to unblockable speed and very lethal damage, and end the game in 1 shot. So that is my take on the Dooplers Recovery Girl deck. I know a lot of people were talking about just making something a throw and putting after you put a whole bunch of damage on it, but I thought theoretically, because of how much extra damage you'd have to play to make a throw lethal, that simply making an attack unblockable would be the better way to go. But what do you guys think? Do you think that this is the best character for something like this? I know she's gonna cycle out at the end of at the beginning of next year when Critical Role comes in, because she is a Heroes Clash character. But right now, because she can build from the discard pile, I think she's one of the better characters for a strategy like this. Do you guys think that there is someone better that could do something with this? Let me know in the comments. I'd be interested to hear other people's opinions. What do you think of these single attack style decks of mine? Because as I've said on the UK Versus podcast, this has kind of become a thing for me, trying to figure out how to build 1 attack decks or 2 attack decks, and seeing how I can make it work. And a bit of a spoiler alert, if you listen to any of my locals, they work. They really do. I can make it work. I've got a whole bunch of these. So if you're interested more in some of these kind of decks, let me know, and maybe I'll share some of them. I may or may not be taking one of them to U.S. Nationals this season. But yeah, so I'm back from my respite. I've had a nice rest, and I'll be doing more regular videos again. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, and consider subscribing if you haven't. It would mean a lot to me and help the channel a lot. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care.